Dear students, are you happy? We can now come to the third class of English. In yesterday's class, we have two activities as homework. The first one is go through the concept maps of Raja's family and his homestead. Then prepare concept maps about your own family. I think it is an easy task for you. Here examples of Raja's family and homestead are given. To complete your own family's concept map, you have to write your name, your father's name, mother's name. Do you have a brother or grandfather? Anyone else you can write. Then about your homestead. Do you have birds, dogs, and then pet cats or any other pet animals or pet birds? What about your surrounding? It also included in my home. Then you have to prepare a short description about your own family. Considering all these ideas, as my name is dash dash, then my father's name is, my mother's name is, my brother, my sister, in my home there is a pet cat, and so on. You can complete that description. It's very simple. I think all of you can do this activity very simply. Then one more activity we have, that's we studied the story's next part, making a shower. Then we have to analyze the side questions. 4 side questions are there. The first one is, who do you like the most? Who do you like to play with at home? It may be your father, your mother, brother, or other friends, grandfather, grandmother. It depends upon your own version. Then the next question, 7th question. What was the reaction of the grandfather when he was soaked in the shower? It's very clear from this story. He was very angry. He got angry. 8th question. Why did Raja select the loft in the cowshed as his hiding place? Loft in the cowshed is the hiding place of Raja. Why? Because he liked to hide in a place closest to his house. From there he can see his veranda and his grandfather. He was sitting on the veranda saying his prayers. He can see what was inside the house, what was going on inside the house. He can see from the cowshed. Next question. Grandmother was extremely worried when he knew that Raja was missing. Pick out the sentences from the passage which convey this idea. The sentence we can see, when I did not turn up, she looked for me everywhere in the house. Then she came out and called aloud for me, thinking that I was somewhere in the garden. Okay. Now we can pass on to the next part of the story. The news spreads. Here also you have to read the passage 2 times. Then find out the difficult words. Use the dictionary to find out its meaning. Then write in your notebook. Now I will read for you. Listen. The news spreads. Then grandfather stood up and went outside and called aloud, Come, Raja, come. I won't beat you. But I did not answer him, for I thought that he would beat me. Grandmother was angry and said, He won't come. You drove him away. I heard you say that you would beat him if he came home. Poor child, he is afraid of you and has run away. Grandfather called the servants and asked them to go out and look for me. Then went out, but after a while returned to say that they could not find me. Grandmother started weeping. Grandfather started walking up and down the courtyard. The news that I was missing spread. Our neighbors came first, then our relatives, and then others who had heard the bad news. Many came to offer their sympathies to grandmother. Grandfather did not like this. He shouted, Nothing has happened to the boy. He is hiding somewhere. Can't some of you go out and find him instead of wasting your time here? Some of them went out to search for me. More and more people came, and soon there was a big crowd. By now, grandmother had lost all hope of seeing me again. She started telling the people what a good boy I was. The search parties returned without finding me. Grandmother started weeping loudly. The women in the crowd also wept. The servants of the house joined in the wailing. They all acted as if I were dead. I felt very sorry for grandmother. I wanted to come out. Grandfather was a man of strong will, but I knew that he too felt very sad. He did not, however, lose help. He stood up, turned in the direction of our family temple and prayed, Help me, God, he said, give me my child. I want him now. I cannot wait any longer. He then stood silent in prayer. At that moment, uncle returned. He learned what was happening at home. He looked around and guessed where I was. He came to the cowshed and asked me to come down. I came down. Uncle took me into the house. Grandfather had just finished his prayer and turned. As he opened his eyes, he saw me standing before him. He took me up in his arms in joy, hugged me, and said, God heard my prayers and has given you back to us. Now, you hear what was in this story. The news spreads. Here, the grandfather called aloud again, Raja, come, I won't beat you. But there is no answer. I can hear all this, but I didn't reply. What about the grandmother's condition? She was angry with the grandfather and she said, He won't come. You drove him away. I heard you say that you would beat him if he came home. Poor child, he is afraid of you and has run away. This time, grandfather called servants and asked them to go out and look for me. But they returned and they could not find me. Grandmother's condition was going very bad. She was weeping. Grandfather walking up and down the courtyard. What's a courtyard? Do you have a courtyard in your home? An open space partly or completely surrounded by buildings. We all have courtyards. Open space partly or completely surrounded by buildings. Then the news of Raja's missing spread all parts of that place. neighbors, relatives, and others came there. They all came to offer their sympathies to grandmother. What is sympathy? They all showing that they understood the problem. That's showing that you understood and care about somebody's problems. Showing that you understood and care about somebody's problems. Here, the relatives, neighbors, and others showing their sympathy about this problem. Then, seeing this was not liked by grandfather. He shouted, "Nothing has happened to the boy. He is hiding somewhere. Can't some of you go out and find him instead of wasting time here?" He was scolding the crowd, mob, so many people there. More and more people came there. This time, grandmother's condition again very bad. She started telling the people what a good boy he was. Then everyone came back home without finding Raja. Grandmother wept bitterly, loudly, and the other women here also joined her. The servants started wailing. It is also a type of cry where long and loud cry because of sad or any other pain. Here, because of sad. They all acted that Raja was died. Seeing all this, Raja felt very sorry for grandmother. He wanted to come out. The condition of grandfather he too felt very sad. He lost all his hope. He stood up, turned in the direction of their family temple and prayed, "Help me, God." He said, "Give me my child. I want him now. I cannot wait any longer." He was in prayer. This time, uncle came. He knew everything, what was happening in the house. He guessed where Raja was. He came to the cowshed and seeing Raja. And he took him to the house. Grandfather had just finished his prayer. Grandfather finished his prayer and looked back. He can see Raja. He took him and hugged him. He was very joy. He was very happy. And he said, "God heard my prayers and has given you back to us." And has given you back to us. Here, another difficult word, hugged. What is hugging? Hug. To put your arms around a person and hold him tightly. To put your arms around a person and hold him tightly. Now I think all of you are clear about what was inside this. The news spreads. Uncle find out Raja. And everybody was happy now. The condition, grandfather, grandmother, all are describing very elaborately here. Okay, do you understand this story? Now, our story, Life with the Grandfather, is over, and we have side questions. 5 side questions are there. You have to find out the answer from the story and to write in your notebook. The class is over. Thank you.